We are talking about the civilian coup today of the U.S. military, where the community organizer is allegedly fired, General McChrystal, on the eve of a major offensive of Kandahar. And we can talk about this for the next few days, and we will. But I'll bet that there are a lot of troops out there now thinking that if they call up Rolling Stone and tell them Obama is incompetent, they could also get a ticket home. You know, I mean, that's for sure. All they got to do is call up Rolling Stone, and there it is, a ticket home. The fact of the matter is the morale is finished now. And that's because the leadership is not there. Because the commander-in-chief is not a commander and he's not in chief. What's mostly killing morale in the U.S. armed forces is, along with a hopeless assignment in Afghanistan to begin with, is the doctrine of counterinsurgency, which makes our men fight with one hand constantly tied behind their backs. Either we are at war and want to defeat and squash the radical Muslim enemy, and we do it the way we know how, with heavy weapons, and we get the hell out of there in plain English. Have you ever believed you'd wake up one day to the most powerful military on earth making men fight in hand-to-hand combat, and they tell them don't fire a gun unless you're sure you're not going to kill anybody? Would you believe it? We have weapons that can annihilate all of Afghanistan. It can be disappeared and turned into atoms. You don't want to do that. But you know where the pockets of the enemy are. For Christ's sakes, what the hell is wrong with this country? A crippled nation. Crippled at every level. And the president, Obama, is really a symptom. He's not the cause of all of this. He's a symptom of a crippled nation. A degenerate, destroyed, corrupt nation. Immoral, corrupt, and crippled from top to bottom. I am an amateur student of history. I know what happened to Rome. I know that after 50 years of bad dictators who could not rule the country, they were corrupt, they were incompetent, Rome collapsed, and the Visigoths invaded Rome. And they divided up the spoils. They broke the nation. If you think that can't happen here, you're mistaken, because the Visigoths are here. Make no mistake about it. They're coming over the border every day. They're the, well, let me stop right here. I'm in enough trouble as it is. The Visigoths are here. And the enemies of your freedom are here. Half of them are congressmen or senators. They're working for foreign powers, in my opinion. And I don't give a damn who tells me I'm wrong, because I know I'm right. They're traitors. And that's why McChrystal, for the mild statements he made, mild statements, a few mild statements, that's why the thin-skinned one got rid of him, because he's a little petty martinet. He can't stand any criticism because he's a weak man and he knows it. Michael, San Diego, your opinion. Go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
Hi, I'm Michael again. I spoke to you last week for an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you for having me again. I want to say my hat's off to McChrystal. My hat's off to anyone that spits in the face of tyranny, anyone that speaks the truth, anyone that takes the light and shines it on what was the darkness of all these deeds that these people do, okay, that people don't know about.
Michael, what do you think would happen if you were a fourth-generation military man, a West Point graduate, a Spartan warrior who actually went out on night missions in Iraq when he didn't have to? He could have sat in his behind like the rest of the fake generals do. And then you wake up and you see these cowards, these communists, these pacifists, these degenerates from Harvard running the military. What would you do?
Well, let me tell you something. My people have been here since 1690 on one side of my family, and they fought in every war. And I woke up this morning, and I realized that everything they fought for, okay, was being swept away in a wave of tyranny. Okay, and what
did you hear the latest rumor of what the thin-skinned one is going to do? The thin-skinned one is going to allegedly grant an executive order granting amnesty to the illegal aliens with the sweep of a pen, telling the American people to drop dead.
Well, and yes, and telling the American people they're not Americans anymore. They're part of the North American Union. Let me tell you something. If there's any people out there with any gumption left, okay, if you have the spirit of Audie Murphy, okay, Robert E. Lee, it's the greatest generals that ever were, Washington. If you're out there anywhere, you better stand up and you better get ready to fight against what's coming, okay, because it's coming.
Well, I'll tell you what's bothering me more than the McChrystal resignation itself, which is what I heard yesterday from Secretary Robert Gates. I don't know if you heard my show, but I was talking about how astonishing it is the defense secretary, when asked about Iran, said, I don't even want to go there about containing Iran. This is the same defense secretary who, after the Fort Hood massacre, said, I don't even want to go there when asked if it was an act of Islamic terror. And I said to myself, something is wrong with this picture. It's as though the top leadership has capitulated to the enemy already. That's what worries me. Then the next day we read that McChrystal is out. I think that something much bigger than this is underneath the surface. And I am terrified that if they eliminate the Marine Corps, which is what they're alleging they're going to do, because it's the last bastion of pure warriors, we're going to have Obama's private army.
Savage.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
Sieg Heil. Sieg Heil. We're in a civilian coup right now. There is a comprehensive amnesty threat circulating, and if you think it's just rumored, you're crazy. Several senators have sent a letter to the dictator on the rumor that the dictator would provide a mass amnesty for the nation's 30 million illegal aliens. They sent a letter to the dictator today asking the dictator to clarify whether he's going to do this, use of deferred action or parole for illegal aliens. Here is the text of the letter signed by Senators Grassley, Hatch, Vitter, Bunning, Chambliss, Isaacson, Inhofe, and Cochran. Maybe soon they'll be arrested by the dictator. And the empty skirts in MSNBC can celebrate the arrest of U.S. senators next. An executive order amnesty. Said this for a long period of time now. In order to justify martial law. I believe we are at that point. And I believe it could happen momentarily. I think that this resignation of McChrystal or this firing of McChrystal is a symptom. There's much more going on below the surface. And I'm not privy to what is going on below the surface, but I can certainly try to put two and two together. And it's not a very pretty picture, by the way. Yeah, we can talk about McChrystal as though it occurred in a vacuum, but it didn't occur in a vacuum. The general spoke out, not in a vacuum. No, not at all. Something's wrong. Something is wrong with this picture. Something is wrong with this whole picture. And I believe that Obama wants to stir the pot in order to turn one against the other. Black against white, white against black, Hispanic against white, white against Hispanic, Republican against Democrat, Democrat against Republican. This man, make no mistake about it, is a Marxist revolutionary. And this man will do anything to consolidate his power. I believe the president is a naked Marxist.